Hello, my fellow Ripplers. This is Chris Miles, your cash flow expert and anti-financial advisor. Welcome to our show. It's for you that works so hard for your money, and you're now ready for your money to start working harder for you today. You want that freedom and cash flow. You want it right now, not 30 or 40 years from now, but today, so that you can live that life that you love with those that you love. But guys, it's not just about getting rich. It's about living a rich life, because as you are blessed financially, you have a greater capacity to bless the lives of those around you. That is what we call here being a Rippler, is that you want to bless the world. You want to make your mark on this planet and make it a better place for you and me and the entire human race and all those kind of things. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for binging, sharing, and all the other stuff that come with that. Again, you guys are the greatest. Appreciate you guys reaching out with feedback as well, with topics and conversations, including this one that we're going to talk about today about, is there a stock strategy that I actually like? And yes, I'm going to talk about that now. As a reminder, if you haven't done so already, you can go to our website, moneyripples.com, take the passive income calculator to figure out how much passive income you could create in the next 12 months. So go and check that out now.
Chris Miles was able to retire twice by the time he was 39 years old, but he's not content to just enjoy his own financial freedom and peace of mind. Chris wants you to have your own ripple effect so you can live free today. He's not the financial advisor you expected. He's the anti-financial advisor you deserve. He's jumping behind the mic right now, ready to make waves. Here's Chris Miles.
All right, so I already said today, is there a stock strategy that I actually do like? Well, first and foremost, I'm going to start with a disclaimer. I am not giving stock recommendations. I am not giving you advice about what to invest in the stock market. I'm not being your investment advisor, so this is not to be construed as investment advice at all. However, every once in a while, when we have clients come to us, there are certain situations where they say, okay, guys, whether they're talking to me or they're talking to Craig, they'll say, I know you hate the stock market, but this is what I have. And the thing is that you have money in the stock market. That's not a big deal to us in the sense that you have the money there. Hey, none of us knew any differently before either. You included myself. I didn't know there was anything better, and I was a financial advisor. That being said, there are some occasions where you can use not just the stock market to your advantage, but more importantly, how can you use company benefits to your advantage, especially when it deals with stocks? Now, I want to share a story with you. When I was a financial advisor, fresh and green, hot off the press financial advisor, 24 years old, much darker hair than I have today, much fuller hair than I have today. And I was sitting down with a couple, and these became my first clients, Chad and Marcy. I'm sitting down with them and teaching about why you should put away 50 or $100 a month into your Roth IRAs and things like that. And they thought the education was great. They were a young newlywed couple, same kind of phase of life that I was in myself. Just get, ready to shoot up the world, right? Just ready to take on the world and have a family, start a family and all that kind of stuff. Well, after we get done, I asked them, I said, hey, are there other people you should talk to? And they said, yeah, here's a few people. And Chad, he said, here's my brother. You should talk to him. He's got a lot of money, especially with his company stock. And so I went, and eventually I got up the courage to call Chad. Just so you know, I don't, none of our people in our company really ever reach out to people cold, like I did back in the old financial advisor days. All of you guys always just keep coming to us. So we always just field your calls and your emails and things like that. Well, I reached out to his brother, called him up. I said, hey, Chad, he's your brother. He told me to reach out to you. I'm a financial advisor. Thought maybe we could, chat on the phone or sit down face to face at some point. And his brother gave me a response I did not expect. He said, honestly, man, I don't want to talk about anything about stocks or financial planning right now at all. I just got done finding out that I had over $1 million in company stock and it's all gone. And I said, oh my goodness, that's horrible. What happened? He said, well, you ever heard of a company named Enron? Yeah, well, Enron just announced that their stock is pretty much worthless. And so I had millions of dollars saved up in there. That was my retirement. This guy was only in his 30s by this point. That was my retirement, and it's now completely gone, wiped out. And he's like, needless to say, Chris, I don't want to talk to you or anybody about money right now. And that was the end of our conversation. And so what I'm going to talk to you about is actually that very thing, because there is a big risk with this. If you have company stock offered through your company, it can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. Good, because there's a strategy I want to teach you where you can actually use this to create freedom faster. But bad, because there's still risk with this, because let's be honest, a mutual fund's bad enough. But when you're dealing with an individual company that you have no control over, you don't know what's going to happen. Something could go wrong. And stock price could tank in a minute, and it might even prevent you from being able to get out. So you got to be careful of that. Now, granted, they try not to prevent you from doing that, but when there's things like be invested in a company stock and things of that nature, they might have certain dates where they allow you to cash out and certain dates you can't. This is what happened with this guy. But many of you, especially if you're in the tech industry, or some of you, even if you're not, you might just be working for a company that's maybe a Fortune 500 company. They offer you company stock. Here's the thing that's great about it. Even though it is high risk, you have all your exposure in one stock. So the lesson you can learn from this is don't put all your eggs in one basket. And definitely, when it comes to long term, keeping money in that stock could be a dangerous thing. Yeah, of course, we've heard the stories about the janitor that Bill Gates could only pay him in Microsoft stock, and he became a multi-decamillionaire because he had those stock options that were paid to him in Microsoft. I don't know if that's really true or not. It's a very common story you hear about. And so you always hear that, and you always think, well, I just to hold on to it and sit on it. We've had clients that work for Google, and they're like, hey, we believe in Google. We're going to sit on it. But still, there's that risk of not just what happens to that company, but also what happens to markets and what they think about the industry that company's in. That's another risk as well. You can make a lot of money and you could lose a lot of money. So here's a strategy that if you are going to do that, here's something you can do that actually capitalize on the benefits they give you in that company and still get that money away and get it to be directed. Again, this is not to be taught as financial advice or invest in a stock recommendation or investment recommendation. I'm merely teaching this as an option, right? And this is an option that many of our clients have chosen to do themselves because most of them already knew they could do it. They just didn't know where to go. And so if you have these stock company options or these company stock options, the great news is that yes, you can cash out the stock. You usually have to wait about 12 months or so to get it out. Sometimes they'll let you access it earlier, but you can reduce the capital gains tax that you have on that money. By the way, I just want to pause here for a second because some of you will say, I don't have company stock. I don't have the option. I have a 401k. I will teach something about a 401k about the 1% of the time I will recommend a 401k working. But hold on with me to the end. I'll tell you about that one in a minute. That's going to be a bonus tip for you guys that maybe can't relate to this completely. So anyways, for those of you that do have stock options, many of our clients will look at it and say, well, I could buy this company. And usually what happens is you buy the stock, usually like 15% under cost, right? So if the company's trading for $20 a share, you might be able to get it for $17 a share, right? So you get it on the discount. And then from there, what you're allowed to do is you can hold on to it for those 12 months. Hopefully, cross your fingers, the stock price is up higher than what you even bought it for when you bought it at a discount. If it is, and if it makes money, great. That could be wonderful. So let's just say, for example, that you put in of your own money $15,000 that you bought in stock options. Now that money is going to be locked up for, let's just say, that full year. It's locked up. You can't do anything with it. You really are at the mercy of the stock in the market. And we hope that all works out. After those 12 months, you have an option. You can either let it sit there and add more money to it, or you could take that money out. Yes, you'll have taxes on the gains of that money, but after that, it's yours to do whatever you want with. Many of our clients will choose that option. They'll choose the latter one. Now, they might still put in money that next year, but often they'll pull out the money first, put the new money in, buy it again at a discount at whatever that price is at that point, let it sit there for a year. So it is a little bit of a longer of a strategy. It's not like it's just immediate. You put the money in, pull it out, right? You can't get that 15% discount. If you could overnight, that would be great. But most won't do that. They're going to leave it in there for 12 months, take advantage of it, and then pull that money out in hopes that there's more. So say you put $15,000 in, and after a year you pull it out, you have $25,000. Well, now that $25,000 could be used to go, say, put a down payment on a real estate property. And then maybe that starts paying you $200 a month. You've just taken something that was just put away, set it and forget it out of your possession. And now it's starting to pay you some good tax advantage type of returns, some returns that might even have you pay little to no tax on it because of depreciation and things like that. You can get that $200 a month. Maybe you're making $250 a month because you went and lent that money out to somebody else, right? You made money off of that. There are a lot of ways to get that money to start paying you. And the great thing is if you had just put 15,000, and let's just say that you were doing that into that 1% a month fund, well, okay, well, that 15,000 pay you $150 a month. But by waiting that extra year, you got this big bump up. Now you have $25,000. Now you're getting paid $250 a month. Now you might just think that's not amazing. And you're right. Like that by itself is not incredible. But if you're to do that year after year after year, say you did that 10 years in a row, even if you didn't grow your money, you just took all the money and consumed it, still you can do the math. Let's say that 200 or $250 now becomes $2,000 to $2,500 a month. That's significant. And the truth is, if you're taking some of the extra cash flow out that now is paying you like I said, $2,000, $2,500 a month, and it's been building up, that money you're also able to add and be able to reinvest and make more. So the truth is you probably would have more than double after that period of time. That money could actually turn into maybe $5,000 a month of income that's coming in by the end of that 10 years. Now, again, I'm not talking about any guarantees or anything like that. I'm just helping you see the theory and the concept behind this, because that's what many of our clients have decided to do. They know, yes, I might have some taxes on this, but the money is now away from the stock. They can rest easy. It's not just the money, guys. It's the peace of mind knowing, oh, okay, I'm not relying upon this company, which really I have very little influence over anyways, rely on this company to always be succeeding. Because on the flip side, I have another client right now where their company stock has been dropping and they're a little bit nervous about it. And they're even saying, well, maybe I should just wait it out a little bit. Maybe it'll bounce back up. And the thing is, if somebody's in that situation, I kind of remind them of the trading rules that I had when I was teaching people how to trade stocks and options, as well as when I was doing it myself, is that if you're like, well, I don't want to sell it off now, I don't want to lose money. You don't want to be caught holding it, left holding the bag until you have nothing left. You don't want to have an Enron example, right? Where that one happened fast. Sometimes it can happen slowly. So what you might do is you put what they call a stop loss. A stop loss means, okay, if it hits this price, if it goes down to this price, I don't care what I'm thinking or feeling in that moment, I sell, right? That's what you do. You set a price, you discipline yourself to say, this is the price. I will not lose any more money than this. On the flip side, if you start making money, you might even pick a price where you say, this is the time I'm going to take my money and run. I'm going to take some of my profits, whether you sell it all or just take a portion of it. You might say, I'm going to take that money, right? The concept behind it is that you want to make sure that that money is in your possession and that you have control over it so that you can sleep peacefully at night. Because there's nothing worse than being left like my friend Chad's brother had, right? Where he's now in a place where he thought he had his life figured out. He thought he had his retirement, his future before him, and all of a sudden watch it crash in a moment. You never want that to happen. That's why many of our clients will say, well, let's start to take this money and use it. And they do. And so if they might stop funding their 401k because they can't really get the money from there, but they will contribute to their stock plan. And a lot of times we say, great, if you're going to do your ESOP, your employee stock option purchase plan, right? Great. Do that. If you choose to do that, fine. And you want to pull the money out, you're going to keep it in there, pull it out. Okay. If you're going to pull it out, great. Well, then here's some kind of options you'd be doing in the real estate space that could actually get you making cash flow with that money. And now you get yourself closer and closer to being work optional, which is the goal, right? Isn't it? You want to get to the place where you don't even have to worry about that stock and have to rely on it. You want to get to the place where you don't worry about the 401k and what the government does and how Social Security is going to be there or not be there in the future. You want control of your own destiny, of your own life. That's the key. All right. Now, as promised, I'm going to teach you something else too. For those that have 401ks, there's only about 1% of the time that a 401k might make sense. Because here's the deal, guys, you don't get a tax benefit from 401k. You just get tax delayed. They just delay your income to a future date, hoping, of course, that you're going to be in a lower tax bracket in the future, which our government's not doing too good job being fiscally responsible, being wise with their money. Why would we think their taxes would get any cheaper? Because they suck at money. Okay. It's kind of a bad theory to think that down the road, you're just going to be in a better tax bracket, right? But here's the thing. For those of you that are generally over the age of 59 and a half, and you can always ask your employer this, and you might even have to ask your 401k provider because your HR department may not know. But if you can ask them if there are what's included called in-service distributions. In-service distributions, meaning that can you pull out money, not from as a loan, but can you actually withdraw the money while you're employed? Now, this is only usually reserved for those that might be in retirement age already. Many and some 401k providers won't allow it at all, but there are some that will. So to give you an example, I had one client where he had $400,000 sitting in his 401k. Now he was mad because he had spent the last 25 years stuffing the money in, and then all he had to show for it was $400,000 because markets kept going up and down, up and down. So he never really got ahead, but he was a good saver. That $400,000 was in there. He went and asked them. Now this guy was over the age of 60. He went and asked his company and his provider. He said, "Can I get in-service distributions?" They said, "Yes, you can access all of it, but $3,000. You got to leave $3,000 in here, but everything else you pull out." Well, guess what? He did. He pulled out almost the full $400,000, and he went and bought over $1 million of real estate property. And so already, just from that one move, his properties went from being his money went from worth from $400,000 to literally $1 million of actual equity net worth. So when I say he bought $1 million property, I don't mean, he bought $1 million because he bought a bunch with mortgages. He bought these without mortgages. He bought them at a discount because, of course, this was after the last recession. So he was able to buy a lot of things at a discount. So he bought about $1 million of properties, and now his 401k money was being used to generate income. Guys, that's a big difference right there. Now, if someone just so here's the cool thing he did. He would take that money that he would have. Now, most people won't keep contributing to their 401k, but he knew he can contribute to his 401k, get the match, and then he can turn around and pull it out the next month. So he would do that. He would put the money in, get the match, pull the money out. There, to me, guys, is kind of a no-brainer because you get the match and immediately you're pulling the money. Let's just say that's a 50% match. That's still, in that case, a true 50% simple return, right? That's a 50% return on your money. And then you could turn around and control that money, invest it however you want, earning potentially double-digit returns somewhere else. That's a pretty dang good move. That to me is a no-brainer. I would do that too if, one, Money Ripple's offered a 401k, which we don't. And two, I would do that because that would be easy money. Now, if I'm my own owner, I wouldn't do it because I'm not going to pay my own match. Not worth it to me. I don't get any tax advantage for that. I have to pay tax on still. But if you work for an employer that's willing to give you that money, take it, right? That makes sense. That is where you talk about free money, no-brainer type money. In that situation it is. Now, if you have an employer like the normal 401k, you lock it up, set it and forget it for years and years and years, not worth it. So my point is this, guys, if you're going to put money into an employer plan, whether it's a stock, into a 401k, whatever it is, make sure that if you do that, you have the ability and the freedom to decide what to do with that money. You pull it out, you can keep it in, of course. But if you have the option to pull it out, that gives you better control of your money. If you're putting your money in somewhere and you lock it up and you cannot get to it for years and years and years, that's a risky move. That's a dangerous move, especially when we move into the next recession. Yes, I'm still calling for a recession. And now some of you might be critical of me and I'd say, okay, Chris, I guess a clock, is right twice in a day. A broken clock is right twice in a day, right? That's true. But I'm telling you, the recession is still here. The signs are all there for a recession to happen, despite what the media and the politicians are trying to tell you. So I'm just saying this ahead of time because if you have your money locked away and things where you can't control it, you might watch more of your money disappear. Those of us that won't watch our money disappear are those of us that have control over money, know we can put it into real assets and get real returns. Those are the people who are going to win right now. The rest of the people, those are locking their money away into their stock funds or into their 401ks. They're going to have some bad, serious stress. They're going to experience some things and some uncertainties in their life and potentially have to make new decisions and change the way their dreams look to fit their reality. Because the reality is going to be brutal. And I don't want that to happen to you guys. So again, I'm not giving investment advice, but I want you to be educated to know that there are options that you can still take advantage of your company plans, but make sure it comes in your favor. Turn the tables around where it's in your control, not the other way around. Take back control of your money. Again, if we can always help you, reach out to us at moneyripples.com. Make it a wonderful and prosperous day.